On the day of obtaining the marriage certificate, my CEO's fiancée spent the entire day ignoring me while supporting her best friend's performance. I agreed to cancel the marriage immediately, packed my things, and the next day she came to the door, smelling of alcohol, and seemed completely surprised when she opened the door. I am lying on a VIP orthopedic hospital bed. A total of 365 days. My wife, Su Qingyan, a senior professor in the Department of Literature at a prestigious university, has never visited here at all. The nurse entered the room, holding the dressing change tray for today. She didn't seem surprised at all, and her tone carried a hint of regret. Mr. Chen, today marks the 1-year anniversary of your hospitalization. I remember on the day of your surgery, your spouse only made a registration as a caregiver in the system. She didn't show up at all during the entire procedure. I lifted my wrist, which was covered with bandages. The wound no longer hurts at all. What hurts is the constant loneliness that comes with each passing day. A year ago, in order to save a student who was crossing the road, I was hit by 3 comminuted fractures, complete rupture of ligaments, and nerve contusions. The doctor immediately issued a critical condition report. It is very likely that the patient will be unable to stand for long periods of time after the surgery. At that time, Su Qingyan was working on applying for a national-level key research project. She said only one thing over the phone. I can't leave at this critical moment. Please take good care of yourself. I believed it. All surgical procedures have been signed off, as well as notifications of patients in critical condition and confirmations of recovery. It's all thanks to my elderly parents who are far away in their hometown. They come here regularly to take turns taking care of me. The screen of my phone is still lit. That's a preview of the divorce petition I just sent out to the lawyer. There was no arguing at all. There were no questions asked. There was no hysteria at all. I gently touched the screen with my fingertip, confirming the submission. The patients living in the rehabilitation area looked at me and couldn't help but speak up. Brother, we've managed to get through this year together. Now that I'm almost fully recovered, why do we even want to get divorced? I looked out of the window, with a calm tone of voice. I can endure it because I have a strong constitution. It's not the right thing to keep going through this situation with her indefinitely. After 10 years of marriage, I never once tried to hold her back or cause her trouble. It can happen during that year, when I am at risk of dying, and I am bedridden, with a high chance of becoming paralyzed. She chose to disappear completely. The nurse packed up her instruments and spoke in a quiet voice. Actually, even our medical staff can't understand it at all. Professor Su is a very polite and respected person at school. How can she be so heartless with someone who is close to her? I tugged at my lips, but there was no smile in my expression. She isn't heartless at all. She simply never included me in her life priorities at all. For her sake. Projects, professional titles, reputation, and connections. Everything is more important than me. During the recovery period, the pain was unbearable. I tentatively asked her if she could take some time to come back. All the messages have disappeared, like stones sinking into the sea. All calls were rejected. In the evening, my longtime friend Lin Zhou called me. The call was connected, and his first words were filled with anger. Did he actually submit the divorce application? I replied indifferently. I won't waste any more time. Lin Zhou spoke urgently. You have spent 10 years working hard to help her rise from a regular lecturer to a full professor. Now that she has achieved success, you are hospitalized with serious injuries for a year. She wouldn't even bother to care about your situation at all. But you must be aware that Su Qingyan is extremely concerned about her reputation. If you suddenly propose a divorce, she will definitely not accept it easily. I didn't intend to make her give up. My tone remained completely calm and steady. I have endured 10 years of mutual dedication, only to receive 1 year of indifference and neglect in return. I simply want to regain my freedom. She is busy with her career, and I will support her wholeheartedly. She deserves to live in dignity, so I will hide all my grievances. I gave her 10 years of tolerance and support. But when I was on the verge of death, she chose to stand by without doing anything. Now the matter is settled. Lin Zhou remained silent for 2 seconds, then said, "Aren't you afraid that she might try to manipulate your emotions by acting pitifully and trying to keep you around? She's really good at playing on your compassion." No more. During the year I spent in the hospital, my kindness and compassion were completely drained away. After hanging up the phone, I opened the notifications from the court system. The progress of the subpoena delivery is being processed currently. On the morning of the 3rd day, my phone completely burst into pieces. The screen keeps flashing, and the same number is repeatedly dialed. In just 10 minutes, there were 37 unread calls. All of these are from Su Qingyan, someone who has been silent for a whole year. 2 days after I submitted my divorce application, I suddenly became extremely anxious. My fingertips traced across the screen. I kept the phone in place, without answering it. Another series of 10 phone calls, all within a short period of time. The ringing tone is persistent and urgent, carrying a sense of agitation due to the disrupted rhythm. It kept ringing until the last call, and it didn't stop ringing at all. It continued to ring automatically. I raised my hand and pressed the answer button. A cold and furious female voice suddenly emerged from the receiver. It was a voice filled with a condescending tone of questioning, devoid of any trace of warmth. "Qin Yu, what do you mean by this?" The tone is sharp and arrogant, filled with annoyance at being disturbed. I leaned against the chair, my voice calm and unchanging. "In a literal sense, it means divorce." "Divorce?" Su Qingyan sneered coldly, her demeanor filled with aggression and dominance, evident from her long-term position of power. "Have you had enough of this nonsense?" I didn't respond at all, just listened quietly as she spoke. "I'm just quite busy with the completion of a recent project lately, so I don't have time to go home. Do you really insist on focusing on such a small matter? They're still going to take it to court. You don't care about being embarrassed, but I don't care about how it affects my work. Chen Yu, can you not be so immature and emotional? Can't you behave more maturely?" Every word and sentence makes me seem like I've been in a terrible situation, confined to bed for a year, without anyone taking care of me. It seems like I'm just being a childish troublemaker. My voice was slightly hoarse as I spoke. "Small matters? What else?" Su Qingyan's tone became increasingly impatient. "It's normal for a couple to have conflicts and disagreements from time to time. Why do you have to make it known to everyone?" During the critical period of my evaluation as a provincial-level teaching expert, all the school leaders were watching me closely. "Are you trying to use subpoena to completely ruin me?" From beginning to end, her only concerns were her own future, reputation, and honor. She never mentioned anything about the 1-year period I spent bedridden after the surgery. She didn't visit me at all. I never mentioned my high fever, fainting episodes, or the difficulties I faced while trying to get through all those difficult times on my own. My tone became a little colder, without any unnecessary emotions. "So in your eyes, I'm just spending a year in the hospital, with no certainty of whether I'll survive or not. Is that because I'm being stubborn? Otherwise, what are you doing?" Su Qingyan's voice rose slightly, filled with confidence and determination. "Isn't it because no one is there to accompany you, no one to take care of you? In the hospital, there are nurses to take care of us. At home, we have parents who care for us. Why would we need to go through a divorce that involves so much pain and suffering? Qin Yu, I really think I misjudged you. I've worked hard to build my career and to bring honor to this family. But you only seem to be a hindrance to me." As I listened to this blatantly false statement, the last trace of warmth in my heart completely disappeared. 10 years of hard work, 1 year of patience. In her eyes, everything became a burden that hindered her career progress. I spoke slowly, my voice freezing cold. I wasn't making a fuss at all. I just don't want to be with you anymore. What nonsense are you talking about? Su Qingyan was clearly momentarily stunned, but then she immediately pressed her demands again. Cancel the lawsuit immediately. Now. I can accept your impulsive behavior this time, but if you have any sense at all, please stop acting like a child and get your act together. After a 2-second silence on the other end of the phone, an even greater surge of anger erupted. Qingyu, what on earth do you want to do? Do you really want to go against me? You know my current position. Fighting with me will do no good to you at all. I exhaled gently, saying something that made her instantly lose her speech. Do I still exist in this world? The silence in the receiver suddenly fell. Those aggressive questions, accusations, and threats that were once present have all suddenly ceased. A complete silence that lasted for a second. Su Qingyan clearly never expected that the person who was always gentle and always accommodating towards her would use such a tone to question her. She is used to my availability at any time, my unconditional tolerance, and my silent support. I forget that I'm also a human being. I can feel pain, I can feel sadness, and I can even feel completely disheartened. After a brief silence, her tone gradually became more gentle, with a deliberate attempt at soothing, yet still maintaining an air of superiority. Am I not busy enough? I thought you understood me. You know very well how much pressure comes with school research projects. I simply don't have any time to spare. You really have to go through all this trouble just because of such a small matter. It's really not fair. I'm too lazy to listen to her hypocritical excuses anymore. All that busyness is merely an excuse for selective ignoring. All those feelings that seem involuntary are simply excuses for not really caring enough. No need for explanations. The subpoena has been issued, and the process has begun. There is no way to go back now. After saying that, I hung up the phone right away. I simply added the contact to the blacklist. He completely isolated this person who was absent from my life for an entire year. After I decided to stop participating in the activities, he came to question the professor's wife, who was known for her temper tantrums. I understand that this phone call is just the beginning. Su Qingyan, who values reputation and future prospects extremely, will definitely not stop until she gets what she wants. Her arrogance and selfishness will lead her to use any means necessary to force me to compromise and withdraw my claims. But she will never understand that the moment I left silently, there was no possibility of any compromise anymore. The moment the phone call was blocked, Su Qingyan's second call immediately came from a different number. Without a moment's pause, filled with intense anger and indignation at being completely offended, I pressed the button to answer the call, but still remained silent. Qingyu, do you really dare to block me? Su Qingyan's voice completely lost its pretended gentleness, leaving only a harshness and anger behind. I don't have time to play those petty games with you. I'll ask you one last time, will you withdraw your lawsuit or not? Why? She raised her voice, clearly puzzled and frustrated. What on earth have I done to offend you? These words completely exposed her most selfish nature. 1 year and 3 days, a total of 368 days. Surgery, infections, high temperatures, and painful recovery. She remained completely invisible throughout the entire process. Now, she even manages to ask where she might have done something wrong to me. I spoke clearly, each word was heard clearly, every sentence was expressed accurately. You didn't do anything to hurt me. You only organized that academic seminar during the time when I was in critical condition during the surgery, and it was necessary for the family members to sign on behalf of me. Su Qingyan tried to speak up, but I interrupted her right away. You only came to join the group meal and team-building activities when I was suffering from a high fever of 39 degrees Celsius after the surgery, and I was unconscious all night, with no one taking care of me. You only caused damage to the nerves in my left leg during the rehabilitation training process. It was so painful that I couldn't stand up at all. Meanwhile, you were in another place, winning teaching awards. A whole year. You never visited the hospital once, you never brought me a meal, and you never sent me a single greeting. My parents are in their 60s. They constantly travel back and forth to the hospital to take care of me. They've worked hard, and their eyes are now dark blue from exhaustion. And you just ignored everything that happened from the beginning. I don't speak quickly, but every word I say reveals the truth, no exaggeration at all. Now you're asking me why I divorced, why I became so angry. Su Qingyan, in your eyes, my life, my pain, my struggles, do they not even deserve to be compared to one of your lectures, or one of your evaluations? There was a silence on the other end of the phone for several seconds. She wasn't feeling any guilt or remorse. All she felt was anger and embarrassment after being exposed in such a way. So you keep dwelling on this matter endlessly, right? My job is quite special. I have no choice but to continue working. All the faculty and staff in this school are striving to achieve their goals. So why should I stop and delay my own future? Do you really think that your future can be built upon the life of your husband? I asked in a cold voice. That's not what I meant. Su Qingyan immediately retorted, her tone urgent. I admit that I didn't check on you at all. It's my fault for being careless. But I didn't do it on purpose. I'm really busy. Why can't you be understanding? Understanding? I chuckled, but there was no real humor in my laughter. I understand how you've been over the past 10 years. When you pursue your master's studies, I will work hard to support our family. When you pursue your doctoral studies, I will take care of all the household chores. And when you need to apply for any professional titles, I will stay up late to help you with the application materials. Over the past 10 years, I never allowed you to miss any work due to family matters. In every moment of your success, I will always be there to support you. I never ask you to take care of the family matters. I never hold you back. All I ask is that, at times of crisis, you can show your support for me. Is this really too much of a demand? Su Qingyan was unable to find any words to respond to my questions. After a while, she still managed to defend herself stubbornly. The family is a place where both sides contribute to each other. I work hard for this family. My honor is what makes the family proud. You act out of anger over such a small matter, and yet you also try to ruin my career. You're too selfish. I'm completely tired of her excuses and reasoning. Your honor belongs to you, not to me. I never sought after your title as a professor. I didn't use your status to gain any benefits for myself. When you were in the spotlight, I kept staying back quietly. When I was in trouble, you completely left me behind. Mutual contribution? During these 10 years, I have always been the one who gave, while you were the one who received. Chen Yu, do you really have to say things in such a rude way? Su Qingyan's tone carried a hint of threat. Think about it carefully. What benefits does divorce bring to you? As a professor at the university, I can provide you with many advantages and benefits. Do you not realize that? Now you're fighting with me, but in the future, you'll have no chance to move around in this city at all. Naked threats, straightforward and cold-hearted. From beginning to end, she used benefits to bind her marriage with me. She never truly loved me at all. No need to bother yourself. I don't care about your convenience at all. Don't push me too far. Su Qingyan's voice became completely cold. As long as I don't give in, you won't be able to get a divorce. If you keep pushing the issue forward, I can file a counterclaim against you for malicious divorce, and use this as evidence to damage your reputation. I responded indifferently. You can give it a try. All of my hospital records, notifications of critical conditions, and proof of accompanying care have been archived. 1 year and 3 days have passed. There were no visits, no greetings, and no companionship at all. The evidence is clear and undeniable. The judge only considers the facts, not your title or status. Silence fell over the other end of the line suddenly. Su Qingyan finally realized that I wasn't just acting out of anger or frustration. I have made every necessary preparations, and I am determined to cut off all ties with her. After a long time, she managed to suppress her anger. Her tone became deliberately softer, and there was a hint of clumsy compromise in her words. Okay, I admit that I neglected you during the past period. I'll visit you in person when this project is completed this week, okay? Please withdraw the case for now, and we can talk properly at home. I refused outright. No need. It's too late. When I was lying on the sickbed, waiting to die, you didn't come. I'm now fully recovered and able to think clearly. There's no need for you to pretend or try to be kind anymore. Qinyu, do you really have to be so heartless? I was the one who was heartless. My tone was completely cold. It was you who were the one who was heartless towards me first. After saying that, I didn't give her any chance to argue anymore, and simply hung up the phone. This time, I completely deleted all of her contact information. Block, delete, or clear the records. Clean and neat, without any room for ambiguity. I understand that this confrontation has just begun to heat up. I'm used to being admired by everyone, used to being given unconditional favor by Su Qingyan. I definitely wouldn't accept the idea that my perfect image might be destroyed. She will lower her profile and pretend to be friendly, but at the same time, she will use any means possible to exert pressure on others. But she will never understand that the heart, now completely cold, can no longer be warmed again. Su Qingyan did not give up after that. The phone wasn't answered, so she directly found me downstairs from the apartment I rented. In the evening, my friend Lin Zhou sent me a photo. In the camera, Su Qingyan stands at the entrance of the apartment building, dressed in a proper formal suit, with a dark expression on her face. She's coming over. Do you want me to help you block her out? Lin Zhou's message popped up immediately. I replied with just 2 words. Let her come up. I don't want to keep avoiding things indefinitely. Some matters are better clarified face to face, thereby avoiding countless subsequent complications. A few minutes later, there was a knock at the door. I opened the door. Su Qingyan stepped into the door, her gaze quickly scanning the small rental house. His eyebrows twitched subconsciously, and his eyes showed undisguised disdain. Why not stay in your own big house at home? Instead, you choose to live in such a miserable place. Qinyu, you're clearly trying to go against me on purpose. She spoke up, still with a confident and assertive tone of voice. When I entered the room, they didn't even ask about my health condition. There was not a single word of apology from them. Instead, they immediately criticized my choices. I stepped aside to make room, and closed the door behind me. The house was purchased jointly after marriage. After filing the lawsuit, we decided to live separately for now, which is in line with legal procedures. Legal procedures? Su Qingyan threw the canvas bag in her hands onto the table. Do you really want to use the law to oppress me? We've been married for 10 years. When it comes to matters of trust and affection, why do you insist on using legal provisions instead? Talk about emotions. I looked up at her. During the year I was hospitalized, did you ever talk about emotions with me? These words left her speechless. She avoided looking at me, walked over to the window, pinched the frame with her fingers, and spoke in a softer tone, beginning to explain her difficulties. That year, the competition for the national-level project I was working on was incredibly fierce. You can't even imagine how intense it was. At that time, 3 teams competed with us for the project approval slots. If I were to slack off for even a moment, all the efforts we've put in over the years would be wasted. There are more than a dozen students in our research group whose future is tied to this project. I can't leave now. I can't leave. I repeated her words. I can't even spare half a day. It takes half a day just to travel back and forth to the hospital. Every day, I have a pile of tasks to handle, reviewing papers, preparing presentations, and processing various documents. Su Qingyan turned around, speaking faster, trying to convince me. I'm not trying to avoid coming along, it's just that the practical conditions don't allow it. I thought you would understand. You've always been sensible. To be sensible, shouldn't one be willing to accept being left unattended in a hospital? I won't leave you behind. I'll ensure that you receive the best medical care possible, a VIP ward, with all necessary expenses covered from my family's account. I won't be in debt to you in terms of supplies or other necessities. Her logic is very clear and straightforward. Money can be given to her, as well as companionship and affection. But she is unwilling to give anything in return. In her perception, making material contributions can offset all emotional responsibilities. Medical expenses are considered part of the joint property of the couple. I said. I also contributed half of the expenses. It's not really a form of charity from you towards me. Su Qingyan's expression turned somber. Do you really have to make the calculations so precise? You were the first to figure it out. It's all counted as a research project, a professional title, a recognition for excellence. All that. But never has anyone considered my role as a husband at all. Okay, even if I made some mistakes in the past. Su Qingyan took a deep breath, then changed her tactics. She stopped using forceful threats and instead tried to persuade instead. Let's cancel this case and go home. From now on, I will allocate more of my time to being at home. I can let go of some of my research responsibilities, okay? It's too late. What exactly do you want? Her voice rose in tone, unable to suppress her impatience. I can agree to the division of property. I can give you a portion of the house, and I can also give you more money from the savings. There's no need to go through a divorce. Once the case goes to court, there will be records of my evaluation materials. Your future depends on sacrificing my marriage in order to protect it. This is not fair. This is good for both of us. Su Qingyan stepped forward. Think about it. As a senior professor, I can provide you with many resources in the future. Your work and connections can all be utilized to your advantage. Divorce doesn't bring any benefits to you at all. I don't need to rely on your light to get through life. Su Qingyan seemed to have heard something utterly unreasonable, and she gave a bitter smile. Qingyu, be realistic. If you stay out of my circle, it will be very difficult for you to get opportunities at a similar level in the future. You suffered serious injuries in your left leg, so it's already difficult for you to find a job. Why do you insist on acting on impulse and ruining yourself? Her words do not reflect any concern for my situation. It's a reminder that if I lose her, I will have to pay the price. In her eyes, my decision to divorce is not a sign of despair, but rather a matter of personal preference. Even if life is rather ordinary, it's still better than being in a marriage where I'm the only one who makes efforts. Su Qingyan stared at me, her eyes gradually filled with disappointment. In her value system, interests take precedence over emotions. It is reasonable to sacrifice some personal relationships in order to facilitate the success of one's career. She truly believed that she hadn't committed any significant mistakes. It seems that, in your mind, all of my efforts and struggles are considered to be sins. Striving is not wrong, I replied. The mistake lies in the fact that you are imposing all the costs on just me alone. The conversation has reached a point where there is no longer any reason to continue this discussion. Whether it's inducements or half-truths, they cannot shake my decision. Su Qingyan stood still in place, silent for a long time. The layer of pretension she had tried to maintain seemed to fade away gradually. She finally realized that good words cannot persuade me, and even tempting offers of benefits cannot sway me at all. Okay. She bit her lip, her tone becoming colder and more rigid. If you refuse to withdraw your lawsuit, then the trial will take place. But don't expect to get everything you want without effort. I won't compromise on anything that needs to be fought for. On the night when Su Qingyan left the rental house, several messages appeared on my WeChat account. They were all people from the university circle who knew Su Qingyan in the past. Some people offered advice, others tried to gather information indirectly, and still others exerted pressure on me in a subtle manner. Lin Zhou called, and the background noise in the receiver was very loud. She has already started telling people around her about this. I've told many of my colleagues that after suffering such serious injuries, you became emotionally unbalanced. You started to act irrationally and insisted on getting a divorce. You used your marriage as an outlet for your anger over your physical injuries. I gently tapped my finger on the desktop surface. I had expected this outcome. She is the best at this task. Put yourself in the position of a victim, and use public opinion to gain an advantage. Many people believe this lie. Lin Zhou spoke with anger in his voice. Many people only saw her as a famous professor. No one knows the whole story of what happened during that year of hospitalization. It doesn't matter. Public opinion is merely an illusion. The court will rely on evidence. I ended the call and turned on the computer. The folder contains all the work documents that I handled for Su Qingyan over the past 10 years. Original draft of the project, literature review, revised versions of the application documents, and records of revisions to the initial version of the paper. Every document retains traces of my editing efforts, along with timestamps indicating when changes were made. These aren't weapons designed to ruin her career. It serves as the basis for recovering the value that belongs to my labor. During those years after we got married, I gave up the job opportunities that I could have had if I had been sent on assignment or promoted. Instead, I spent a long time doing a lot of research-related tasks for her, without any compensation. There is no labor contract, and no payment has been received. It all stems from the affection between husband and wife. The bond between us has faded. These efforts deserve to be recognized and appreciated. I have contacted a legal agent. I have finished organizing the materials. During the marriage, I provided extensive intellectual labor without any compensation. There are complete records of this behavior. I hope that in the divorce proceedings, I can claim corresponding financial compensation. The lawyer quickly replied. Such types of compensation for domestic labor during marriage have been supported by judicial precedents. Your timestamps and multiple versions of the documents can serve as evidence. In addition, you can submit the medical records showing that the other party failed to provide proper assistance during your hospitalization. Regarding the division of property, the real estate and its funds will be divided as common property, without any excessive demands being made. I only want two things: my share of the common property, and compensation for the work I will do during the marriage. Understood. I will compile the evidence into a list. After doing all this, I began to actively cut off all those hidden resource connections that were established around Su Qingyan. In the past, many friends from the academic community would send messages and arrange cooperation through me. I respond to each message individually, with a polite attitude, but I always maintain a clear boundary between my responses. For future academic project collaborations, please contact Su Qingyan directly. I no longer act as an intermediary, no longer assist in organizing materials, and no longer serve as a link between different parties. The chain reaction will soon become apparent. Su Qingyan was used to having all kinds of trivial matters taken care of by others. In the past, when the deadline for submitting research proposals approached, I would help her organize and sort out all the various documents, ensuring that the format was correct and there were no errors. After I got away, all those minor tasks were left to her to handle. After a week passed, the lawyer sent me a message. Su Qingyan submitted her defense to the court. In the defense statement, he denies the existence of long-term emotional violence within the marriage, and also denies that he was involved in performing numerous research-related tasks. I consider the labor compensation I propose to receive as a form of extortion by a greedy person. On the same day, a former colleague teacher approached me privately. Qin Yu, Professor Su's condition hasn't been very good lately. The application form had errors in 2 consecutive instances, resulting in it being directly rejected by the project management department. There were numerous flaws in the submitted materials, and the researchers and students working on the project were completely overwhelmed. She spent every day working late in the research room, trying to fix all the problems. After hearing this, I didn't feel any relief at all. This isn't a disaster that I deliberately created. It's just that, after removing the long-term support that has been provided without any compensation, inevitable consequences will emerge. It didn't take long before a call from Su Qingyan arrived through the lawyer's channels. The lawyer initiated a three-way conversation. "Qingyu, you deliberately cut off all my assistants here. You deliberately misled those in the industry. What exactly do you want to achieve?" Su Qingyan's voice came through the line, her voice filled with anger. I spoke into the microphone. "I have never misled anyone at all. In the past 10 years, I have been your husband. I am willing to sacrifice my time to help you with whatever you need. Now that we have entered the stage of divorce proceedings, I have no obligation to continue working for you without pay. Those documents, those arrangements. These are things that a husband and wife naturally should do together. The division of responsibilities between husband and wife is based on mutual support and cooperation. I spent a year in the hospital. Under the legal obligation of mutual support between spouses, you didn't fulfill any of your responsibilities at all. So why do you expect me to continue to make unlimited sacrifices on your behalf?" Su Qingyan's breathing became more rapid. "Just because of that 1-year hospital stay, do you really want to take revenge on me by ruining my career?" "I didn't take revenge. I simply want to take back the labor that I provided without any compensation. Your career should be based on your own abilities, not on my sacrifices. I won't agree to any form of labor compensation. I won't give you a single cent." Su Qingyan spoke in a firm tone. "The money saved from the house can be divided among us. But don't try to ask for extra money just because you used to help me with work. Let the court decide," I replied calmly. The three-party conversation ends here. The lawyer communicated with me after that. Her current research project has been rejected, and she has a lot of trivial tasks to handle right now. She's under a lot of psychological pressure. But she still believes that the root of the problem lies with your actions. She didn't reflect on her own negligence at all. I understand very well. The current difficulties do not seem sufficient to shake her deeply ingrained beliefs. Only when the continuous accumulation of real, tangible losses occurs, will she truly realize what the 1-year absence she had earlier actually meant. She still hopes for luck. There are still 21 days left before the court session begins. Meanwhile, problems keep emerging for Su Qingyan one after another. The previous 2 times, the format of the application documents was incorrect, resulting in them being rejected. She spent the night working on a revised version of the document, and finally submitted it after making all the necessary adjustments. Within a few days, it was discovered that the reference list was. There are now complaints within the project team. Several graduate students have privately reported to the department that the work arrangements have been chaotic, and the direction of the project has changed frequently. The circle of friends in college isn't very large, so such news spreads quickly. Lin Shou told me what he heard. The members of the research team are quite nervous. There are 2 students who originally planned to continue their doctoral studies with her, but they are already inquiring about the procedures for changing tutors. After hearing that, I just let out a sound like a simple, These consequences weren't caused by my intentional provocation or incitement. All those minor and cumbersome tasks that needed to be dealt with in the past were taken on by me. Once I stepped back, all the loopholes became apparent. That afternoon, my attorney called me. Su Qingyan suggested that she would like to arrange a private meeting with you, without going through the court process, and without having a lawyer present. She said she was willing to make concessions and wanted to try to reach a settlement. I remained silent for a short time. The meeting will take place in a public place, such as a cafe. Please help me send a message to her. I can go there then. I didn't expect her to suddenly realize everything on her own. She chose to settle the matter privately, because the pressures of reality became too much for her to bear. The project is facing setbacks, the team is unstable. Once the divorce court hearing becomes public, it will directly affect her status as a provincial-level teaching expert who is currently competing for recognition. That honor was something she had pursued for several years, with great effort and dedication. In the evening, coffee shops along the streets in the urban area. I arrived early and chose a window seat. Su Qingyan walked in, her face no longer showing the stern expression she had when she confronted him last time. His eyes were covered with dark circles, and there were some wrinkles at the collar of his shirt. He lacked the calm and elegance that comes with a professor's status on a daily basis. She sat down, didn't speak immediately, and picked up the water glass to take a big gulp. "Look at what's happened here now." She spoke first, her voice tired. "The project has encountered many setbacks, and the student's mental state is not stable. The department leaders have already talked to me twice." I watched her. "Is this all my fault?" "I didn't say that it was your doing." Su Qingyan raised her hand and rubbed her forehead. Her voice was very soft. "It's just that in the past, these situations were always handled by you." Finally, she admitted in person the value of my existence in the past. "Now I realize that there are many minor tasks that I simply cannot handle on my own." This sentence doesn't mean I'm confessing my pain. It's a nostalgia for the convenience that I could offer her. "Qingyu, please withdraw your lawsuit." She looked up at me, her tone suggesting a sense of weakness. "What will happen after I get home?" I asked her. "I will adjust the pace of my work." Su Qingyan slowed down her speech, trying to appear sincere. "I will assign some of the tasks to my deputy. I will spend more time with you, to make up for the years I couldn't spend with you due to my hospitalization. The household responsibilities, I will share them with you." "It's too late." I refused outright. "When I was lying in the hospital, suffering from a high fever that wouldn't subside, and my family members had to stay by my side, where was the compensation for my suffering? When I underwent rehabilitation training and endured immense pain, unable to sleep for the entire night, with only my elderly parents by my side, where was the compensation then?" Su Qingyan clenched her fingers around the paper cup tightly, causing the wall of the cup to indent slightly. "I know that it was my fault that year. I admit it. People will always make mistakes. Is it really necessary to ruin a 10-year marriage just because of one single mistake? This isn't considered a single mistake at all. This was a year-long period of deliberate neglect. It was a situation where, despite having the ability to fulfill the responsibilities of a partner in a relationship, one chose to completely abandon those responsibilities." "Then what exactly do you want?" Su Qingyan's voice carried a hint of resentment. "I can compromise on the division of property. The house goes to you, and most of the savings will also go to you. Let's start over again, okay?" The premise of starting over again is that both parties are equal in terms of their capabilities. In the past 10 years, I have always been willing to compromise on your behalf. I have given up opportunities for promotion, taken on household responsibilities, and helped you with your research work without any compensation. Even if we get remarried, your career will still be at the forefront. I will continue to have to step back from everything. This situation won't really change at all." Upon hearing this, Su Qingyan's emotions began to surge upwards. The fragile facade that was just created has gradually faded away. "In your eyes, does my dedication to my career seem like some kind of original sin? I'm working so hard, all for this family. It's for you, for your own reputation and future," I replied calmly. "I haven't benefited from the advantages that comes with having a professorship. Instead, I've been constantly consuming myself in order to serve you. Regarding the compensation for labor damages, I can agree to that." Su Qingyan gritted her teeth and proposed a new condition. "The amount should be negotiated privately between us. There's no need for a judge to make a decision. If you agree to withdraw the lawsuit, I will pay you this amount myself." She still approaches this marriage with the mindset of a traitor. Take the money, neutralize the damage, and restore everything to its original state. Even if I get this money, I still can't get over that hurdle in my heart. The court session is not meant to force you to pay compensation. What I want is a legal document that confirms this matter. It has been determined that during the period of your marriage, you failed to fulfill your obligations as a spouse. Su Qingyan's body stiffened slightly. Do we really need to keep such records? Yes. Once that record is kept, I have basically no chance of being selected as a provincial-level teaching expert. Her voice suddenly became louder. Chen Yu, do you really want to push me to such a desperate situation? The person who pushed you into a desperate situation is you yourself, you, who refused to step into a hospital even a year ago. There were a few customers scattered around the coffee shop. Su Qingyan realized that her voice was too loud, so she tried to suppress her anger. She stared at me for a long time, her eyes filled with a mixture of unwillingness, confusion, and a hint of genuine panic. She finally understood completely that all those attempts to tempt her with benefits, or to make her seem weaker in order to keep her, are completely ineffective. Do you really have no intention of changing your mind at all? No. Su Qingyan slowly leaned back against the chair, and let out a long sigh. All the disguises on his face have disappeared. No more threats, no more attempts to lure others into action, no more feigned weakness. Okay. Since there's no agreement reached through discussion, then let's meet in court. The day of the court session. The courtroom was solemn and quiet, with only Lin Zhou attending the hearing. Su Qingyan was dressed in formal attire, with a delicate makeup, carefully maintaining the dignity that a university professor should have. It's just the fatigue that lingers in her eyes, unable to be hidden from the tension in her heart. The trial process proceeds in chronological order. The judge verified the identities of both parties, and the plaintiff presented his claims and requests. My lawyer presented the entire set of evidence in court. A stack of thick hospital records, notices of critical illness, rehabilitation records, and screenshots of hospital visitation registration records. And there are also the testimonies of my parents, which confirm that Su Qingyan did not visit the hospital to take care of her child for an entire year. Immediately afterwards, the computer storage medium was brought forward for examination. Over the past 10 years, there have been countless applications for research grants, initial drafts of papers, and numerous versions of documents that went through repeated revisions. In each of these documents, there are traces of my editing efforts and timestamps indicating the time at which they were created. Su Qingyan's acting lawyer presented a defense argument in court. Document modifications cannot be considered as equivalent to labor contributions. Mutual assistance between spouses is an inherent part of family relationships, and therefore should not be compensated in the form of financial compensation. The judge looked at Su Qingyan. Defendant, the plaintiff spent over a year in the hospital, and the surgical risks were extremely high. Did you visit the hospital and provide support for the plaintiff? Su Qingyan clenched her fingers tightly. Her voice remained steady. I am responsible for a national-level scientific research project. The workload is extremely heavy, and there are many limitations in my capabilities. Therefore, I couldn't attend the event. However, I have already paid in full for all the medical expenses related to this incident. Do the obligations of mutual support between spouses merely involve paying for medical expenses? The judge continued to ask further questions. Su Qingyan moved her lips slightly, but she didn't respond immediately. It's my turn to ask questions now. Su Qingyan raised her eyes to look at me. Her gaze was complex. For some minor tasks he might offer to help, but that doesn't mean he's responsible for the core work. The lawyer immediately presented different versions of the document's revisions in court. For every adjustment made to the order of the documents, every correction made to the format, and every reorganization of the logic involved, there are records of my actions. The time period coincides perfectly with the critical stages of her research project. These actions are not mere acts of kindness. They represent continuous intellectual efforts over time. The plaintiff voluntarily gave up high-paying positions in other regions in order to support the defendant's career development. When the plaintiff suffered severe injuries and needed the companionship of his loved ones most, the defendant completely failed to step in. Financial expenses cannot replace the legal obligation to provide support. One piece of evidence after another is presented, all interconnected. This time, there were no lawyers present, and no others interfered at all. Are you satisfied? Her voice was hoarse, and the attempt at pretending to be decent completely failed. The judgment has been finalized, and my nomination as a teaching expert is now void. There have been several problems within the project team, and 2 students have officially submitted applications to change their tutors. The department has already talked to me, reminding me to be careful about my personal and family conduct. You have destroyed most of everything I've worked for over 10 years. Is this the ending you wanted? I stopped in my tracks, facing her directly. I never thought of destroying your career at all. The research you're working on, your knowledge and skills still belong to you. What has collapsed is those days when I was willing to pay any price to ensure its survival. Just because I haven't been to the hospital for a year, do I have to pay such a heavy price? It's not that matter. It's been 10 years. I've been making concessions all this time. I've sacrificed opportunities, spent time away from what I wanted, just to bring your brilliance to life. I only ask that in times of crisis, you would at least show a little kindness. You choose to completely ignore me. All costs should be borne by those who make the choices. Su Qingyan's eyes turned red, and her voice carried a hint of regret. But still, she remained unwilling to give up. I later thought about it. If I had taken some time to visit you back then, maybe things wouldn't have turned out the way they did today. Perhaps, I replied indifferently. But there is no such thing as if. Can't we start over again? I'm willing to make concessions regarding the property issue. I'm also willing to spend time with you to make up for what happened in the past. No need. I shook my head. The person who endured countless nights of pain on the sickbed was me. Those isolated and helpless situations have indeed occurred. Damage has been caused, and nothing can change what has already happened in the past. Do you really not want to remember any of those old feelings at all? Those old feelings were exhausted by the year when you were absent from my life. Su Qingyan stood still, looking at me, unable to speak. She faced the consequences of her indifference. And I take back the life that belongs to me.